Hey guys, my name's Ruthie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you get notified when I make a new video. I've been wondering and kind of taking polls whether it's best for me to have a long video, like 45, 50 minutes with the timestamps and everything, or if you think it'd be better to have like shorter, smaller videos. I'm not really sure what the audience wants. I really don't mind having longer videos. Sometimes I prefer it, but I want to make you guys happy. I want to give you what you want, so let me know if you have an opinion about that. But I wanted to make a part 2 for the tips for IBD, because I can make this for forever. I keep thinking of new things. I'm going to address some huge things that I can't believe I left out in the first one: the noise factor of pooping and the smell factor. And I'll also address confidence, having confidence with an ostomy bag or with a J pouch, and just some general resources and people you can reach out to help you out through this hellish experience. So let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy. So I just recorded 45 minutes of me talking and the video's broken and unusable. This is exactly why I've been putting off making videos, because I knew this shit was gonna happen. My technology has not been agreeing with me. But I am gonna try to just kind of go through what I just talked about, which is just like, oh, okay. It's gonna be good, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be good, okay. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, check me out. I'm at Ruthie Hannon. And I post a lot of like my modeling stuff on there, because when you're a model, your Instagram is like your portfolio. So it's how I get jobs, that's how I make money. But I also post stuff about Chrons and colitis, some poetry, my personal like experiences, and mostly in my stories, I post like a lot of self-help and things like that. Last night, I posted a question for all my IBD peoples out there of what is like your biggest issue that you're moving through right now. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever. I got some responses that like sparked so much, so thank you for those who responded. There's like 3 of you. The first response I want to address is a factor that I thought about almost immediately after I recorded my last tips for IBD video, and I'm like, how the hell did I not talk about that? And I think I didn't, because it makes me very uncomfortable also. But I can't ignore it, because it's like a huge part of it. It might be the biggest part of the emotional turmoil that comes with having IBD. The response is passing gaffed comfortably in front of or within an earshot of your significant other. That is a real ass response. So the noise factor of going to the bathroom is rarely, if ever, spoken about. The smell factor has been addressed in a lot of different things, just between matches, candles, the poopery. There's products out there to help with the smell part of it. But the noise factor is really, I just haven't heard much about that. So I do have something for this problem, and I never, ever, ever thought I would ever, ever, ever admit this to anyone ever. But here I am. This is a trick that can be a little bit gross, fair warning, and I think I came up with it. I've never heard anyone else talk about this ever. I'm sure other people do it though, because I don't know, it seems intuitive to me. But when I'm in a pinch, or if I'm in a small party or in a place where I know that everyone outside of the bathroom can hear what's going down in that bathroom, and I know that my body's about to explode and I'm gonna have a very loud bowel movement, what I do is I take some toilet paper and I wrap it around my hand like a lot, so there's a nice like cushion. And then I put my hand on my butthole and I fart into the tissue paper. It muffles the sound a lot, because it's not like fart going into an open toilet and like echoing and reverberating back at you and everyone around you. It just muffles the sound, and it's a lot quieter. Can be a little bit gross. I mean, if it's just air, then that's fine. But if there's poop coming out with the fart, then it can get a little messy, but if you're in a pinch, like, you're welcome, because that took a lot to share. That was super embarrassing. I'm just gonna move on. So when it comes to passing gas in front of your significant other, or someone that you live with, or someone who's close to you, you need a longer term solution for that. And I think muffling the sound every time isn't really feasible. But the first thing I would do is sit down with yourself and kind of work through, why are you uncomfortable with it? Why are you embarrassed? Is it all internal stuff? Is it all just from our conditioning? I think it would be rarer if you weren't uncomfortable with this. So is it just that, some unlearning you have to do of what's accepted? Or is it that, and are you getting that reinforcement from the outside as well? Is there something that your partner does, or a look, or something they say, or a way that they act when you do pass gas that reinforces that for you, that makes you more uncomfortable? I think whatever the case is, sitting down and journaling about this and figuring out, in an ideal world, what would you need to feel comfortable to pass gas? It might be just that you're alone. My body physically still feels the most comfortable releasing when I'm alone, but there may be things that you can do to feel more comfortable with that with your person near you. So what I would do is sit down and figure out what exactly it is that's making you uncomfortable and making you feel embarrassed, and figure out how your significant other could help you with that. What is the end goal? Like, what do you need from them to feel comfortable? So if your significant other is laughing or making a gross face or whatever it is, if that is a reason why you're uncomfortable, then just tell them that. If you're living with someone and you're in a relationship and they care about you and they love you, I bet that their goal is not to make you feel embarrassed and not to make you feel uncomfortable. They're probably just a little embarrassed and uncomfortable themselves, and that's their natural reaction. I think if you can kind of bring it out into the open a little bit more and just let them know that you've been struggling here and that you don't feel completely comfortable to go to the bathroom as much as you need to go or as loud as you need to go when they're around. That's not going to be groundbreaking news. I bet your significant other feels a similar way, just doesn't have to deal with it as much as you do if you have IBD. So I think just kind of being open in that communication, and it's so scary to open up in that way and make yourself vulnerable and really speak like those hard truths. But there's so much reward that comes with that, because one of two things can happen. Either they don't understand, they don't hear you, they continue doing what they're doing, and maybe the relationship fizzles. And then that's a good thing, because that frees you up to be open to people who truly do care about you and truly do want to be in your life. Or what can happen is that they hear you and they understand, and you've given them permission to meet you on a deeper level. What happens a lot in any relationship is that once you speak your truth of the way that something's been affecting you, the way you've been feeling about something, you're good. It's taken the pressure off of you because you're no longer hiding something and you have more permission to be your authentic self. And it puts the ball in their court. So they can either choose to rise to the occasion and give you what you need out of the relationship or out of the interaction, or not. And then you have permission to act accordingly. But I really believe that if you're living with someone, if they love you, if they've seen the hell you've been going through with IBD, whether the relationship's going to work out or not is kind of irrelevant, because they clearly love you as a person. They've been with you through all of this hell. They're going to understand that you fart loudly or smell up the bathroom or whatever the thing is that's making you uncomfortable. And it allows you both to kind of meet on a deeper level, and it'll free up a lot of anxieties and a lot of tension around the relationship. I think I talked about this a little bit in another video, but I remember being in elementary school, maybe 4th or 5th grade, where I had started to train my body to not fart. And I would, anytime I felt something coming on, I would just squeeze and just not let it come out, because that's so embarrassing. I'm not gonna fart in front of people. There's no way. And it's not until very recently that I recognize I've been doing that to my body. And so if you're like me and have been doing that and kind of train your body to resist and to not let things go when you need to let them go, then your work is to retrain your body and to retrain your mind that it is okay to let go. It's in your benefit to let go. Because when you hold in your gas, like if you've ever experienced intense gas pains, like that's what I imagine contractions feel like. It is such an underrated pain. And like at hospitals, they'll give you all like the painkillers for it and nothing helps. The only thing that would help is simethicone or Gas-X because I'm just having insane gas pains. And that's because I've trained my body to not let the gas out when it wants to come out. So I'm currently in the process of unlearning that and retraining myself to let go. And affirmations are so powerful when it comes to rewiring your brain and body connection and kind of faking it till you make it in a way and just telling yourself over and over again, it's okay to let go. I am safe to release. I don't need to hold on to anything. I can let things go. I am letting things go. I am letting things go. It's okay to release. I am safe to release. Just over and over and over again, especially when you're on the toilet, if you have constipation issues like me. And this trickles into so many areas of our lives. Like if we're holding on to the gas in our body that doesn't want to let go, odds are we're holding on to other things too that we don't want to let go. You start to notice this when you start to release and when you start to let go of like, what am I so afraid of and what am I holding on to? Because that is rooted in fear, the fear of loss, the fear of not being able to have something, or in this situation, the fear of losing some magic in your relationship. If you open up this farting and pooping realm, because that is a big deal. I'm not going to act like it's not a big deal. I'm not going to talk about my relationship like at all on here. I'm totally okay opening up about my things because it's me that's getting exposed, but I will not expose other people on here. But I will say that I've been in my relationship for 3.5 years. And when you are with someone for longer periods of time, there are different levels that you enter and different things you start to expose and the layers start to come off. Because you start a relationship, you're really in that like honeymoon phase, like I'm perfect, you're perfect, we're perfect together, this is perfect. And then the more time goes on, the more ugly starts to come out. And that just really makes the relationship so much deeper and soulful and as open as you can be about your fears and concerns with your significant other. I think the better, because if you guys aren't on the same page, you know sooner than later. And if you are on the same page, you can grow together deeper. And I guarantee you, if you're having issues with farting or pooping in the vicinity of your significant other, they're probably feeling the same way. And us with IBD, we have to remember that our partners also poop and they also have issues like this. Maybe not as severe, but it's still there. Like they understand. This isn't something that's completely foreign to them. And if they've seen you go through this stuff, then I'm guessing that they're in it and they want to see you succeed and they want to see you be healthy and happy. And if for you to be healthy and happy, you need to fart loudly at times, then I'm sure they'll be in support of that. And it's really only weird for like not even a week. Like it gets normal really fast. And especially if you're quarantining with your partner and spending a lot of time together, you guys are gonna get close real fast. So, or not. Whatever happens, it's a positive thing. And that's another thing, is reminding yourself that worst case scenario, you're still gonna be okay. Worst case scenario, you fart in front of your significant other, they think you're disgusting, they hate you, they break up with you, and it's over. Like, one, that's not gonna happen. Two, if that does happen, fuck that person. You don't want them in your life. They did you a favor by leaving. It's gonna be okay regardless. I completely understand that fear. I think the goal here should be maybe not to erase that fear, because I think it's always gonna be there, but rather not letting it guide your actions. Letting your actions be driven by the need for radical truth and self-acceptance. And this brings me into talking a little bit about something I've been talking about in therapy recently, which is shame and the cycle of shame. I think if you're having mental issues involving the toilet and how loud or how smelly you are in the bathroom, that is rooted in shame, like for sure. Shame of being gross, shame of feeling gross. I really think that that's it. It's gross. That's always been a fear of mine. It really started a lot when I had an ostomy bag of just like, I feel like I'm secretly this disgusting, gross person and everyone's just seeing like the shiny packaging. But if anyone ever got to know me for real, they would see how gross I am and would hate me. That is a real fear. And I'm not going to act like I'm over that because I'm definitely not. That's, I think, going to be with me probably for life. Again, my goal is to understand that that is a fear and that is not reality and that I feel that way. And sometimes it feels so real, but ultimately I know it's not. Ultimately, I know I'm just like everyone else. Everyone else is just like me. We all just want to be loved. We all just want to be accepted. And if that's what we want, then we have to give it to ourselves. And the way that shame works is that we think it's a productive thing. We think that if we are so angry at ourselves for a certain thing, then that's going to spark change because I hate that part about me so much and I never want to be that way. So if I just keep reminding myself how much I hate it, then I will never want to do it again. But if you think about it, it doesn't do that. It does the opposite of that. If you're ashamed from doing a certain thing, this is a lot how addiction works, which I have some experience dealing with, is that you get so guilty for doing the thing that you said you weren't going to do, that you need to do more of it in order to mask that guilt. And our bodies work in the same way. If we're shaming ourselves every time we fart or every time we're too loud, like yelling at ourselves, making ourselves feel even more gross, it's just going to perpetuate it. We're not going to get out of it by doing that. It's a never-ending cycle as far as I can see. The antidote to get out of this cycle of shame is self-compassion. We have to be so kind to ourselves. We have to look at ourselves as if you were your best friend or a small child or someone who, no matter what they do, you know that their intentions are good, their core is good. And that's really hard for us to do to ourselves because we hear our dark voices. We hear all of the things behind the scenes, all of the things we're ashamed of. We hear all of it a lot, sometimes all of the time if we go through those really dark stages. It feels impossible to think of yourself as a good person when you know of all of the bad things that you think about or all the bad things that you felt. But what if your best friend was telling you that? What if your best friend was saying all of the dark voices in their head or all the self-criticism that they're having? You would understand and you would know that that doesn't make them a bad person. Your thoughts are not who you are. Your actions are who you are. What you bring to the world, what you do on a daily basis, that is who you are. So really reminding yourself of that and knowing that you're going to mess up and it's going to be okay. You're going to go through stages where you're super self-critical and super down on yourself, but you're also going to go through stages where you feel really good about yourself. And when you're in the middle of either stage, it's going to feel like it's forever and like it's your life and that you've always been this way. That's just how it works, at least in my brain. Whenever I'm feeling really good, I'm like, oh, I've always felt this good. I'm so good. Oh, everything's great. And when I'm feeling really bad, it's like, I've never been happy before in my entire life. Neither of them are true. It's just our emotions talking. And I know it's hard when it feels so true and when it feels like everyone around you is kind of lying to you, but it really is the truth. So having a spiritual practice or having even just a self practice, it doesn't even have to go into spirituality if you don't want to go there. It can just go into yourself and sitting with yourself for long enough that you feel those uncomfortable things that you've been pushing down for forever. And letting yourself cry, letting yourself scream, letting yourself punch a pillow. We have to find a way to let out these frustrations without marinating in them and getting stuck in them. And Again, I'm not going to act like I do that all the time, because I definitely don't. Sometimes I will marinate in my sadness for months. But if I focus on that, and if I'm mad at myself about that, I'm way more likely to marinate in my sadness again tomorrow, instead of understanding that that happened. Yep, I did that. I definitely wasted a week of my life just sitting around, but I'm not going to waste tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a good day, or today, but I'm not going to waste today. Today is going to be a good day. Today I'm going to do the things. Today I'm going to stay true to who I am as a person and act from a space of love. And having a practice where you're very aware of what you're doing and what you're thinking, and first thing when you wake up in the morning, not looking at your phone, taking time for yourself to even just listen to your heartbeat. Don't start the to-do list yet. Don't start all the, I should have done this yesterday and I should do this today, but I probably won't even get to it. Like, don't start all of that. When you catch yourself doing that, like maybe listen to music or do something that's going to take your mind away from that, because that is you get stuck there very easily. And it takes a lot of effort, daily effort, to be a happy person these days, but it's so rewarding ultimately. And you don't have to do it every day. Some days you really just need to rest, especially if you're dealing with chronic illness. You really have to rest. So I know I just said a lot and kind of rambled a bit, but in conclusion, my advice for if you're having issues passing gas in front of your significant other is to figure out what is making you uncomfortable, and if it's purely an internal thing or if there are external factors as well, and communicate that super openly and honestly. And affirmations, repeating to yourself over and over again that it is okay to release. It's okay to let go, because it is okay. It really, really is. The sky doesn't fall after you fart loudly in front of someone. It feels like it does. It really, really feels like it's going to, but it's not going to, and you're going to be okay. And this doesn't even go into a stoma. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about if you're living with an ostomy bag. And the noise factor with a stoma, I don't know about you, but my stoma was so loud and it would fart uncontrollably all of the time. I guess I've just always been a very gassy person. And you have no option to hold it in with that. Your stoma's gonna fart when it's gonna fart. It's gonna poop when it's gonna poop. Zero control for you, which can be liberating if you look at it the right way. Can also be incredibly maddening and frustrating and embarrassing and awful. Both are true. If you are living with a ostomy bag right now, I just want to take a moment. You are such a tough and resilient and strong person, and this is going to just make all of those things even more true. And it's going to make you even stronger, it's going to make you even more resilient, and it's going to be painful, because being a strong, resilient person requires a lot of pain. Strong people aren't strong because they've had cushy lives. They're strong because they have dealt with shit that most people couldn't even dream of. And that's what you're doing right now. And you are so special for having to deal with this. It's not a super common thing. I fully, deeply, my knowing self knows that this is such a blessing, and I really think, I've said it so many times, so I'm going to keep saying it, I really think people dealing with IBD, any chronic illness in general, have been just touched by an angel or by God, whatever you believe. It is such a blessing in disguise, because it really brings you into the depths of your soul, your self-worth, and your just so much dark stuff comes up. And it doesn't really help to know this when you're in all that dark shit, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's the truth. I'm not really sure how to explain this, so I'm just gonna try. But if you're living a life where everything's just like nothing crazy's happened, you get happy sometimes, you get sad sometimes, but there hasn't been any like big things that have like really made you sad or really made you happy, whatever. you're kind of living here. And life is like everywhere. Life is everywhere. And when you deal with dark shit, when you're here, when you have an ostomy bag and you're down here, life balances itself out. Your happy is going to be expanded so much, like so much. And it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of pain, and it's going to suck. It's going to really, really suck. But personally, I would rather live through a life like that than a boring life. I would rather have a life that's has all these twists and turns, has all of this shit, literally, than a life that's just mediocre. This makes you so special and so strong. It's just so beautiful. So addressing another great response on my question on Instagram was confidence with an ostomy bag. I can't talk about confidence without mentioning social media, because I don't think there are the same factors to confidence anymore as there once was. Especially if you're like me, I was born in '96, so I kind of grew up with social media for the most part. I think I got my first phone in like 6th grade. MySpace was like 7th, 8th grade. So yeah, I kind of grew up with comparing yourself to others and seeing other people and thinking that they're living a better life than you, that they're happier than you, and just all the hits on your self-worth that comes with that. When I had an ostomy bag, in order to feel confident and okay about myself, I pretended that I didn't. I hid it. I dressed up real cute. I did my makeup every night. I went tanning for the first time and last time ever, because I was like, I just need to feel good about myself. I feel so gross and so disgusting, and it's so hard. And if I'm being 100% honest, I numbed a lot of my feelings. I got really fucked up most of the time because I just was so depressed and I didn't want to think about all the shit I was going through. I don't recommend doing that, but whatever way you deal with it is perfect. It's going to be the way that you're meant to deal with it. But even when I had the ostomy bag, I do remember training myself to be confident, because I do know that there's not a lot of people who could put up with this and handle it. And having an ostomy bag makes you a badass, like just straight up. Continually reminding yourself that you are such a badass for dealing with what you're dealing with. And there's not a lot of people who could deal with it. And being really easy on yourself and having compassion for yourself on your bad days, because there's going to be bad days where you feel like a gross poop bag and you don't want to be seen, you don't want to do anything. And you can let yourself have those days. It would be weird if you didn't have those days, you know? Your body has changed in a drastic way, and it's going to continue to change in a drastic way. But this also is a really good opportunity to explore the idea that you are not your body and that your soul lives inside your body. And I think any creative outlets you can do, any music you make or writing or whatever your outlet is, I think spending a lot of time focusing on those things is going to help you, because that doesn't involve your outward appearance or what you're dealing with. And you can make music and be confident about that. You can write a poem and be confident about that. Confidence doesn't always have to correlate with our outward appearance or the way our body is, the way our face looks. It doesn't have to correlate with that. Oftentimes it does, especially in the time of social media. In talking about social media and confidence, just remember that you are seeing everyone's highlight reel. You are seeing the sides of everyone that they are okay with showing the world. That can look really beautiful. That's one of the factors that I love social media, is that when you click on someone's profile, you can see the way that they want to be seen and what they consider beauty and what they consider a positive thing to display to the world. And it's really, really interesting and fun, I think, to see the differences and to see how some people view beauty versus how other people view beauty. And personally, having an ostomy is such a beautiful thing. Having an ostomy means that you are no longer allowing things that don't serve you to be in your body anymore. Your colon wasn't doing its job. It wasn't serving you. It was causing you more pain than good. And you've done something about that problem. You have released a huge thing. And now you're dealing with what comes with that, which is an ostomy bag, which is a J pouch if you've had the reversal. And these things are all symbols of you letting go of things that don't serve you. They're symbols of your strength and your power to listen to your body, to listen to modern medicine, listen to the smart people around you who have been doing research of this and know how this ends. And I mean, at least for me, if I was alive in any other time period than right now, I would be dead. So I'm just lucky to be alive. I'm just lucky to be here. And so are you. So is everyone. We're all just, the fact that we are here is insane. And it's beautiful. And I think lack of confidence comes with more time thinking about how other people view you. And as a natural people pleaser, this is a really hard truth to put into action, but it is so, so, so true. It is impossible to please everyone. You will never in your life please everyone. A part of me is always like, what? Like, what? What do you mean I'm not going to please everyone? But it's true, you're not. And you can't control what people think of you. And you can look at that as a nice relief, honestly. You can look at that with like a, whew, you're off the hook. You don't have to try to please everyone. You don't have to try to look beautiful to everyone because it's impossible. You're never gonna do it. So what do you focus on instead? You focus on yourself and making you feel beautiful to you. And what is beauty to you? Is beauty what you see on Instagram? Is beauty like plastic surgery and fake eyelashes and all that stuff? That might be beauty to you. I don't know, that's not beauty to me. To me, beauty is anyone who's living in their truth and who is doing their own inner work to find that, because it's so not easy. And it's like, I definitely don't suggest sharing everything. I think you have to be very picky and choosy with the things that you share. And you have to do a lot of internal reflection and thinking to even know what you do think for real and what you do want to share for real. Because I think a lot of times if we think halfway through something, we're not going to understand how we really feel. We're going to understand how we halfway feel about something. But then if we thought a little longer, we might change our mind completely. So what is beauty to you? Think about a time where you felt really confident. What were you doing? What did you look like? What was the situation? And in what ways can you bring that into your life right now? Confidence is another one where affirmations are the biggest help. Keep telling yourself how beautiful you are and how strong you are, because it's so, so true. It's so true. And you know it's true deep down inside you, but there's a lot of bullshit and a lot of voices on top of it trying to get the first word, saying that you're not pretty, you're gross, you're ugly, you're disgusting, all these like really negative thoughts and words. Those are going to be loud and they're going to be there. And those thoughts aren't you. It's human. They're just going to be there. Just pay no mind and focus on the truth. The truth is that you are such a special and gorgeous person, and you deserve to know that about yourself. For young women in particular, I think, this probably definitely applies to guys too, but my experience as a young woman, so that's what I'm thinking about. But I think growing up, I was sort of subconsciously trained to not like myself because it was a negative thing if you thought you were pretty. If it was a negative thing if you thought that you were a cool person because, oh, she's so full of herself. She loves herself. And it was said in like a very negative way. And that's not cool. It feels very real growing up in situations like that. And you may have even judged other people for thinking that they were so cool or like, oh, they're so full of themselves. But that's a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing when someone loves themselves fully, and it gives other people permission to do the same. And I think if you have an ostomy bag, you have such a golden opportunity. Looking back, I wished I had been more vocal and open when I had my ostomy bag. No, I wish I was in a mental state to be more open about my experience with an ostomy bag. I was like very not okay during that time, which is okay. If you're going through this and you're feeling so not okay, like, let yourself not feel okay. Just fuck it. It doesn't matter. There's no expectations of you. You have an ostomy bag. Like, you can just chill until you feel ready. But I do think that there is a golden opportunity to show self-love and allow other people to love themselves. Because if you are a proud and loud person and you have an ostomy bag, nobody else has any excuse to not be a loud and proud person too. And I think the more loud and proud people we have on this earth, the better. It'll be contagious. If you can do the work to kind of find your way and find some acceptance in the dark things that you're going through and just trust that it will be over, it is temporary, no matter how much it feels like it's not. All of this will be over at some point. I think our job is to just make the best out of what we're given. And if you're given an ostomy bag, then it is a radical decision for you to be yourself and love yourself, because it feels natural to hide and to go away and to not be seen. And like I said, please do that if you need to do that. I did that. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't. But if you have it in you at any point to do some inner work and reflections to find that place of acceptance and that trust that everything is temporary and this too will be over at some point, and just make the best out of your situation. If you can get to those areas of feeling and being with an ostomy bag, you're the most powerful person in the world in my eyes, because I couldn't do that. It's hard as shit. Just from when I've told people what I've dealt with, I would get so many looks back of admiration, but also guilt. A lot of people feel a sense of guilt when they see someone who's been handed a shitty hand and have a more positive attitude than them. Well, how come I can't be happy? Like, she's gone through so much stuff and she's happy. Why can't I be happy? And at first it can definitely make people uncomfortable and definitely make people look at themselves a little closer. But those are good things. Discomfort is good. That is a sign that growth is coming. And being vocal about what you're going through and how you're dealing with it, because everyone deals with it in different ways, is a very powerful thing. And it shows other people that there are ways to find some peace and find some happiness, even with all of the shit. Especially right now. There is so much shit in so many people's lives. And each of us individually who have dealt with IBD or ostomy bag or J-pouch, whatever it is, we all have our own takeaways. We all have our own insights that we've gained from this. I'm sharing with you my insights and what I've learned from these experiences. But you're going to learn something different. You might learn a lot of things I've learned, but you're also going to learn your own things because you have your own lens. And you might learn a little nugget of information that could change someone's life forever. All you need is that one little spark of like something that to click into place in your head of like, I've been looking at it like this for my whole life and I should have been looking at it like this. This is the way to look at it. Dark things, bad things that happen, whatever it is, big changes in your life are such big blessings. They really are. And even knowing that, you still have to feel all the bad things. You have to live it, but it makes it a little bit easier to live it because you know there is good on the way. There's always something good on the way, always. At all times, there's something positive coming your way. And your job should just be to do the work that allows yourself to receive the good things. Try to not get stuck in those states where a good thing could happen and you don't even see it because you're still upset about the thing that happened yesterday. I mean, that's hilarious that I just said that because I feel like that's my life. But I'm just trying to share this stuff so I can reinforce these messages in my head and also allow others to latch on to anything that clicks. Again, I know I just said a lot, but some key takeaways for having confidence with an ostomy bag is remember how much of a badass you are, and keep reminding yourself that, because it's so true. And remember that having confidence isn't purely a physical thing. And having an ostomy does not inhibit you from creating beautiful things that you can feel confident in and be proud of. And focus your attention where there is positive, where there is the light. It's really easy to get stuck focusing on the negatives. I know, trust me. But each time that you remind yourself to see something beautiful, you'll just be a little bit better off. You don't have to put pressure on yourself to do it all the time, every single time, because that's just not going to happen. But just be proud of yourself when you do make those steps. Be proud of yourself when you don't let your physical situation affect all of your life. So I'll finish off with just a few general tips for people with IBD, J-pouch, ostomy bags, etc. I've had such an immense amount of help by going to therapy and by joining a support group. And I think if you're dealing with this, IBD is such an innately isolating thing because you're not going to be with anyone when you're on the toilet for 9 hours a day. It's very natural to hide and to distract yourself from the unpleasant feeling and to not be open and to not reach out and to not ask for help. These are all very natural responses to what you've been handed. It took me 9 years to actually get a therapist and a support group. I did it a few months ago and I was diagnosed when I was 15. I never wanted to consider a therapist or a support group because I felt like that would be fully admitting that this is a problem in my life, and I wanted to do everything in my power to pretend it didn't exist and to just push it away as much as possible. And when I'm healthy, I'm good. What do you mean? I've never been sick before, and just kind of live that way. And though I did live a long time like that, ultimately it is so much more fulfilling to accept those dark things too and acknowledge that you have been through a lot of shit and you do have a lot of emotions to unpack that not a lot of people do have to unpack. But there are other people who have had to do the same things. These days with the internet, more than ever, we have access to groups of people, therapists, to resources that can help us through this because we don't have to do it alone. Yes, this is the first time you're going through something like this, but it's not the first time anyone's gone through something like this. There have been people who have walked this path already, and utilizing that is so valuable. And I'm kicking myself for not doing this sooner because I really think I could have dealt with a lot of pain sooner and not have it had such like a physical effect on me over time. I can't recommend it anymore. I really think if you can find a therapist who is familiar with IBD, I think that is going to be key. I just asked my gastro if there was a therapist who worked at the GI unit, and there was, and that's who I'm seeing, and she's amazing. And right now I feel like a truer version of myself than I think I've ever felt before because I've acknowledged so many things that I've never wanted to acknowledge. Don't underestimate the power that comes with being truthful with yourself. It allows you to walk around the world differently. It allows you to do everything you do differently and more fully because there's nothing holding you back. You know what's going on inside you and you know what to keep an eye on. But seeing a therapist who is not familiar with IBD can be a little bit frustrating and counterproductive, I think, because you'll end up having to explain the nature of a chronic illness most of the session instead of actually dealing with your problems. So I really think if you can find someone who's familiar with IBD or works with other IBD patients, even better, do that. As far as the support group goes, it's so beneficial to hear other people speaking things that you thought you were the only one who felt. I didn't realize that existed until I went to my first support group. I didn't realize that it was possible for me to not say anything and feel completely heard and seen and understood. It just puts things into a perspective. I know it's easy to be in the woe is me phase and just feel like, why were you handed all this shit? And that's a valid question. I ask myself that a lot. But taking a step back to look at reality and understand that this isn't just you. You are not the only person who's going through this. There are a lot of people dealing with the same situations. There are a lot of people who have dealt with these situations in the past, and they are now looking to help others dealing with the same thing. So find people like that. And there are people who are still dealing with it and still want to help people. So like I said, don't ever hesitate to send me a message, an email, reach out to me in some way, because it makes me feel so much better to communicate with other people who understand me. I just haven't acknowledged that in so long and been comfortable feeling like the different one and feeling like nobody gets it because they didn't have to deal with the shit I've dealt with. I mean, that's still there too, but being able to have people, whether it's virtually or in person, that understand, like truly understand. They've dealt with the same things. They've gotten to the same point where they just like can't do it alone and showed up at a support group. And here you are. Here you all are. We don't have to walk through life alone. We have so many people out there willing and able to help. And even if that helping is just being an ear to listen or eyes to read, it's help. Utilize your resources that you have. Resources brings me into my final tip for this video, which is the CCFA, Chrons and Colitis Foundation. They do crazy good things. I don't know enough to like actually talk a lot about CCFA, but I will share with you what I do know. And what I do know is that CCFA has their own support groups all over the country. So check those out, because I know a lot of them are meeting virtually right now, so you can do it wherever you are. And if you become a member, I did it for I think $30 a year. That's like the lowest tier, which is like a year. That's super affordable. They will mail you an I can't wait card, which I mentioned in another video. I thought it was like the city of Boston. I wasn't fully aware of what it was. I just remembered my mom telling me that. This is the card that once businesses are open again, you can show to the manager and say, I need to use the bathroom, and they'll let you go. And they also have a lot of great resources, articles. You can stay up to date on all of the advances that are happening in this field. And that's another thing to keep in mind if you're living with IBD, is there's always new work being done and new medication trials and things happening where, yes, there's not a cure for it right now, but we never know what the future holds. And I think if we just hold on hope, keep it in the back of your mind. I think what we should do as patients of IBD is find what we need to have in order to accept and find a little peace with the situation we've been given, and still at the same time hold hope that this situation could be cured one day. And you can definitely do both. You can hold hope for change while still accepting your circumstance. Accepting does not mean that you're okay with it. You don't have to be okay with any of this, because it's so not okay. It sucks. It really sucks. But accepting it is just acknowledging that this is a part of your life and that it's here and that you have to find ways to work around it. And yeah, it's not fair, but it's reality and it's what's happening. And that's what acceptance is. It's not automatically saying like, oh, I'm so blessed, I have a chronic illness. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that with the chronic illness you've been given, you've also been given an opportunity to rise to a really great occasion. I hope that this video can provide some amount of comfort or relief for you if you're dealing with these tough things. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, or send me a message, whatever. Make sure you do the like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Please let me know anything you're curious about, any advice you're seeking, anything you want to hear me talk about in future videos. There are still recipe videos on the way. It's just taking me a lot longer to edit them than I thought, because I'm trying to figure out the way to start it, but they're on the way. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you've made it this far. I'm wishing you all the love, all the strength on this journey. It's not an easy one. And keep reminding yourself, never forget how strong and how beautiful you are, because that is the truth, honey. Okay. And once again, quoting the always great RuPaul Andre Charles, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.